What's up, guys? We are back with another Mythic Legions review, taking a look at a 2025 LegionsCon exclusive. We have got the exclusive version of Sir VALGARD from the Legacies of Mythoss line. So for, the uninformed or the unaware, whatever word you want to use, Sir VALGARD is one of, if not the rarest figures in the line. He was from the original Kickstarter way back. And he was exclusive to the Kickstarter. So while everything else was offered at retailers, and there were very few retailers then, VALGARD was not. So unless you have paid the price on the aftermarket, and it's a crazy price these days, you did not get a chance to get him outside of that Kickstarter, really. So he is exceedingly rare, but now you've got a new chance. Of course, this is a new version of him, so while he was never going to be released beyond that, this is not the same figure. He does come in the same kind of packaging that you've seen for your Otho and your Urzok from Legacies, although this exclusive version does have some branding on it, and then there's exclusive stuff in this box for the con version. But you've got him there in the window, you've got your logo and that lava burst down there on the bottom. One spine gives you a fantastic product shot from Trevor Williams. One spine gives you the faction logo, which has a lot of artwork like emblazoned into it, which I really like that idea. The back of the box gives you a bio for Sir VALGARD, and then gives us a large shot of that new character artwork, and then cross-sell for Otho, Urzok, and Scaphoid. And I'll just say it right now, I need character artwork like this for every single character just yesterday, as quickly as we can do it. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Mythic Legions Legacies of Mythoss Sir VALGARD V2. So this is our second go at this character. Again, the first one was in that original Kickstarter, the exclusive figure from that Kickstarter. So he is and was and always will be exceedingly rare in this line. And this, of course, is our LegionsCon 2025 exclusive version. So there's going to be some extra stuff with this figure that is only available in this particular version. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. Now, I will say right out the gate, he's a dwarf, and if you're familiar with Legions, you kind of know what to expect when it comes to, I guess we'll say, the limitations of this style of character, because there's still a lot of older parts on him. He is overwhelmingly still very familiar territory, which is, it's not a surprise by any means, really. We do have an interesting situation at the head and the neck, because he's really locked down, and he's always been this way. It's nothing new, and you can see why. He's got his giant, unnecessarily large, very cumbersome beard, and it does get in the way when it comes to moving this figure around. So he can look up like really good. Like, you can get him to go up really good. Of course, that looks kind of weird because of the beard. He does have a new hinged neck peg, so you do have that. The older style dwarf peg that juts forward is in the box as well if you want to use it. It does help, but this also kind of helps to work in the same way, because that neck peg is able to jut forward and down a little bit. So he does hang over the torso slightly better than if it was just the standard peg. But when you get him fully kitted out, and let's be fair, this is likely how the overwhelming majority of people are going to display him, with the big old pauldrons on him, with the wings on the helmet, the whole deal, he really can't do a great deal. You can sort of shimmy his head from side to side. So he is a little bit locked down there. Again, I'm not surprised. I've been in this line for long enough to know what to expect with a dwarf. But he has a lot of business going on around the head and the neck. Now, at the arms, they of course are going to go out, but this is another area to watch out for also, just because he does have these giant pauldrons. He does include different ones, but for the sake of, his normal loadout, this is what it is. So he does have giant pauldrons. I love them, but they're huge. So his arms go out. They, of course, will swivel forward and backward. You are going to have to play the balancing game with this kind of stuff to figure out how you're going to get him to move without, making it look ridiculous. You've got the increased range on the arms. So he does still have, familiar arm parts when it comes to like the forearms, but he does have that increased range that we've been seeing at the elbows lately. So that's really nice. Of course, you've got a swivel in that elbow joint as well. We've still retained our forearm swivel, and then these are vertical hinges, and you've got swivels. There's other hands in this box as well. As far as the torso goes, this is an older style torso. This is Magnus's torso, right? Vorthog torso, something like that. So you've got your swivel point. He can crunch forward slightly. He goes backwards better, but this isn't one of those new slimmer torsos like we've seen, with Valiant Knight forward. I'm not really upset about that, because he's a dwarf. He should be a little bit more rotund, we'll say, when it comes to that. He shouldn't be a svelte, slim build dwarf. I think he should be burly and bulky, regardless of what it does to his range. It's also your swivel point, if I didn't say that. Legs, of course, are going to go out. He does, again, I mean, this guy is kitted out to the nines, and it goes very well with his backstory, so I'm not really upset about him kind of being over-encumbered in many ways. He's coming prepared, at minimum. Legs go out all the way. They're going to kick forward all the way. They're going to go backwards some as well. You do have a thigh twist up there. We've got our single-jointed knees, which have, really solid range. We've still got some older parts here too, but you do have some increased range there. You do have some shimmy, some swivel at that knee joint. We've got swivel at the top of the boot where it goes up into the ankle. You've got your rocker. And then, of course, we've got our hinges down there. So, I mean, he's still pretty standard. There's nothing really surprising when it comes to articulation here. This isn't the newest iteration of what a dwarf is or can do. We might be seeing that with some other dwarves later, I guess, when we get to some of the newer waves that have been announced. He does still feel very similar to an older style dwarf or even to his original figure, which is to say he does have some limitations, the biggest one being just because he has that giant beard to give off, the very obviously stereotypical dwarven look. He does have that. It does kind of get in the way, but he just has a lot of stuff. He's very gaudy and ostentatious when it comes to his armor and everything. So the wings, the giant eagles on his shoulders, some of that stuff is going to get in the way, and you'll have to work around it. Now, this is where the fun really begins for me because, well, if you've listened to any of my other reviews or watched any of my other reviews before, my main focus for Legions is and was and will probably always be the visuals, the design, the aesthetics, the parts usage, the new things they've done with existing parts. And then when it comes to V2s like this, being able to see where the figures came from is always kind of fun, especially in this case, because this guy he's an outlier in a different way than what we've gotten so far. Otho, very rare figure, expensive figure on the aftermarket. Urzok is the same. We've got Scaphoid here, who isn't as rare by any means as any of the other figures so far. But Sir VALGARD is even more different because he was that Kickstarter exclusive. And in the first Kickstarter, dwarves were pretty much dwarves. They were all really the same kind of thing with a few changes here and there. The parts library in that original Kickstarter was fairly reserved. It was a risk, right? So they couldn't have as many parts as we do now. So this is our V2, obviously, in his, most ostentatious setup. And this is our original one. So our V1 and our V2. They are thematically very, very similar still, and I think that's great. It definitely works. The gold color is different on them. The purple is still very consistent across them, but they have a lot of different parts. They do have some of the same stuff too, though. So like the bracers are the same. So we've got that very, very dwarven bracer still. We've got the very dwarven legs. We've got the very dwarf style of boots here also. They've got the same loin piece, but he's using a different belt and different armor at the legs. So that skirt piece is the one from the Centaur, Apharius, from the Ilithia wave, which to me is still pretty insane that works on a figure like this, but here we are. He, of course, has soft goods. We've got a different torso. He's incorporating the elbow pads from Sir Gideon Heavensbrand 2 in the Necronominus wave. So we've got those. He, of course, also has the pauldron that we got with Sir Gideon Heavensbrand 2, but he has both of them this time. He doesn't have just one, which I love, because, again, this is one of my favorite pauldrons in recent memory. We do have a different head sculpt. The beard also seems to be different as well, because he has, I don't even know what you would call this. There's like metal bangles in the braids, and he doesn't have those here. They're not even sculpted in there, but they're also painted here. So there's more inlay filigree detail on the helmet, and the wings are different that are coming off of the helmet. There is a lot that is very similar, but at the same time, strikingly different in a very positive way, I think. Like this, there's really no debate which one, to me anyway, which one looks cooler. And it's going to be Sir VALGARD 2 forever. I don't think the original one really stands the test of time in comparison. I really appreciate what this guy is and the value that he has and the rarity and just the unique paint scheme that he had in that first wave, but he is still very similar to the overwhelming majority of dwarves that we've seen throughout this line's life. Sir VALGARD 2 is, in many ways, seemingly a path forward for, fully armored dwarves, which I really like. I think he looks pretty much from top to bottom absolutely stunning. My only real negative when it comes to the visual and design aspect of him is the same stuff I kind of harped about when it comes to articulation. He is very, very busy at the neck up, basically, the shoulders up, the pauldrons, the wings, the beard, it all does get in the way. Does he look cool? Absolutely. So maybe that's the trade-off. Can you move in your armor? No. But do you look awesome? Yes. Then it's fine. And I think I'm okay with that. But I really, really love this. And there's not much more to say on that front, I suppose. The paint is really well done. The gold is incredibly lustrous. It's very much in line with a lot of the other golds we've seen, you know, from like the Gold Knight 2 and on, especially the golds that we've seen with the Necronominous Knights and things like that. The soft goods are wired. So, of course, you have a little skirt piece. It's nothing too crazy for him, but he does have some soft goods here. We've got, of course, the pauldrons, which I love these. I love the idea of having the faction symbol as something wearable on these figures. It's just cool. It makes them look kind of ridiculous, but in a very good fantasy way. Like, I'm here for that kind of stuff. I really appreciate the usage of this skirt piece on him just because of how different it is and how underutilized this piece is up until now. It definitely works on a regular figure in a better way than I would normally expect, especially for a figure like VALGARD, who is small compared to the Centaur, which is enormous. So I like the idea that it does work as well as it does. And then just the mashup of a lot of new parts with some of the older stylings, like it still very much works. There's nothing wrong with these, you know, older style, design style of Dwarven legs. The very, you know, runic look when it comes to some of that, and just the overall plate armor design that they have. I really like that. I like the inclusion of the Vorthog and Magnus, right? They both share that torso. That torso, because it also incorporates some of the purple in there to bring up that color onto the torso. And of course, you know, you can use this with other figures as well. We've got plenty of parts to share around with this guy. The beard is fully painted with a lot of dry brushing in there to bring out all of that sculpt. And then again, I do really like the bangles that are on these braids. It's a different color. It's not the same gold as the armor. It actually flows up into some of the filigree detail in this inlay piece that runs up and around the top of the head sculpt. And not to mention the fact that there is this very big crest on the front of the helmet that really wasn't present on the original figure. There's a lot more detail up top, and it is a little bit more ostentatious and very more regal compared to his original figure by quite a wide margin. I'm very, very happy with the way this guy turned out. And I've said it a number of times, I'm not the biggest dwarf guy at all by any means when it comes to Legions. They're probably one of my least favorite things in the line just because I like the taller figures, I guess, is the reason. But I love this dwarf. I think he looks absolutely amazing, incorporates some really amazing parts to beef him up, make him really, really bulky, and make him look very imposing and very, very important compared to, I don't know, pretty much every other dwarf we have so far. Now, as far as accessories goes, VALGARD is loaded. Let's just say that at the outset, he is absolutely loaded. I will, however, clarify that he is so loaded because he comes with a lot of exclusive parts. So everything over here, this is all exclusive. We're talking legs, head, pauldrons, bracers, hands. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be exclusive to the con version. So that while there will be a regular release, this stuff isn't going to come with it. So we'll get to that in a second. So as far as what comes with the regular version and what you're going to get no matter how you get this figure, we do get to start with an extra head sculpt. So of course you've got the regular one here. This is the head from Scully Bonesplitter. So he's a recent figure, and they're already reusing his head for this guy. And I think this works pretty well, of course, because he is a skeletal dwarf. So you've got the skeleton head with the, you know, more runic style of armor, with the braids, the whole 9 yards, done up in this gold and purple color scheme. I really like this. He does not include anything for the ports on the side, so you're going to use the wings again if you so choose. Of course, we've already talked fairly extensively about the pauldrons. Those are, of course, always optional. He comes with a couple straps. These are actually on him in the box. I just took them off just to more visually display them once we do this because they're kind of obscured by the beard. So he's got two black straps, some of the newer straps. We've seen one of the thinner ones and one of the normal style belts with the painted buckles. So you've got two of those in black. We get a couple extra hands with this guy. So he's got vertical hinge hands on him in the box. You've got a set of actual dwarven hands here with a vertical, not a vertical, but a lateral hinge. So this is that, you know, classic dwarven style with the detail down the center of the hand. So he's got that purple and silver detail there. You get a set of those. So that's it for the hands that come with the figure, the base figure. We also, of course, as I mentioned, get the classic dwarven neck piece as well. If you want to swap out the hinge for the old style, you do have that. We get a sword, so just a standard sword with a sheath, done up in a bluish purple. It's more in line, the color of this, with like the jewels and the skirt pieces than anything else. But you've got that. You do have a little dagger. And we've seen these pieces before. So we've got a dagger. You get a shield. And of course, this is one of the newer style shields. It doesn't have a faction symbol on it or anything, but it does have the ability to use those. So you've got this shield with the circular insert. You've got the clasp, and you also get the handle with this. So you get the handle, you get both options, as they seem to be doing consistently these days. And then the last accessory that he has as the base level is the old style of Warhammer. So the big monster hammer that like every figure came with, you get something like that. And I really like this. It's very much an older style of accessory in terms of the theming and the design work here. And like a lot of figures used to come with, you can pop this end off, if I can get it to actually come off on camera. So you can get this piece to come off, and then you can pop this one on to have it be, you know, a bigger double-sided big warhammer to go smash some orcs or skeletons or whatever you want to do. So you can change up the look of this thing depending on, you know, your preference. So you do have some options there when it comes to how his weaponry is used and displayed. But then we've got all this other stuff. So like I said, this is going to be the exclusive stuff in this particular set. So you'll get all the other stuff with the regular version, and you'll only get this stuff with the exclusive. And it makes for some interesting accessories. So, like I mentioned, he does come with the parts to make a different figure. You can't make two distinct figures out of this without cannibalizing something else. But you have the makings of being able to turn Sir VALGARD into a full-size knight, basically. So you get the gold head from Sir Elijah. So his was, you know, that sort of gunmetal color, but this is now in Sir VALGARD's gold. So it matches. Everything's going to match, of course. We get the more classic knight-style bracers to replace the dwarven ones, so you get a set of these. And then you also get two sets of hands. You get a set of knight's hands, and these are lateral hinges, not vertical. And then you get a set of the graspy style posy kind of hands as well. So there are multiple extra sets, and of course all of these hands can be used on him at any time. Doesn't make any difference, but they do have different armor styles. You get a set of the newer, lower profile style of pauldrons. So they're done up in that gold, of course, but with the silver sort of piping around the sides. Very, very different profile from the big birds. And then the last thing he comes with is a full set of legs. So this, of course, is a newer set of legs. You know, you've got that newer style of articulation with the somewhat increased range. It even has a tail port there. If you want to give him a tail, you can do that. But you have a full set of legs if you want to turn Sir VALGARD into a full-size figure. I mean, that would be literally as easy as popping the legs off and putting them on this and, you know, swapping the skirt piece around at the minimum. You could easily do that to make him into just a very bearded, normal-sized knight. There is a wealth of options when it comes to this particular release. This one is definitely going to be something for the part swappers out there and the kit bashers and the customizers, especially with the inclusion of a full set of legs. That's a very rare thing to see from any toy line, let alone Legions in general. So he does come with everything you would expect to get from a normal figure, and I'm still pretty over the moon with this head sculpt in particular. I love the way this looks in gold, but he comes with a ton of accessories, and even then, beyond that, all the exclusive stuff, he is just packed to the gills. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's no surprise. This guy's an absolute winner for a number of reasons. He is not, again, I'll start with the one thing that's maybe negative. He's not the most articulated figure in the line by any means, and that kind of runs pretty normal for a lot of dwarves. It's very normal to see them being slightly less agile than other figures. That kind of remains the same here, but he overwhelmingly destroys the original figure when it comes to the visuals. So much has been updated and changed and made more in line with what we expect to see going forward. Unless you are a completionist, You know, and I'm probably going to say this with every Legacies review, unless you're a completionist, there's really no need to go back to that old figure. You don't necessarily need to pay 3, 4, 5, 6, however many hundreds of dollars to get the original one when you could get this guy as well. Not to mention the fact that he comes with an absolutely insane number of accessories, the makings of a separate figure, depending on how you want to play this guy out with all the extra parts, an entire set of legs, tons and tons of stuff here to round out one of, up until now, the rarest characters in the line that everybody finally has another shot at. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions Legacies of Mythos Sir VALGARD V2 LegionsCon 2025 exclusive. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.